Look at this thing. Are you guys seeing this? So cool. I mean, this headstock looks like a cartoon snake. So this is a Wandré Guitars Cobra. So Wandré Guitars is an electric guitar brand started by Italian guitar manufacturer Antonio Wandré Pioli. And these guitars were made from 1957 to 1968 and in very small production, which makes them some of the most sought after guitars on the vintage market. These guitars are known for their really original shapes, just really unique design and unique switching systems and aluminum necks. So in 1959, Pioli moved production to Cavriago, Italy, teamed up with Wandré Divoli, electronics expert, whose company at the time was a part of a conglomerate known as Radio Elettromeccanica Crundal, and this was in Parma, Italy. And over the next few years, they developed the electronics for the Wandré guitars. And by 62 or 63, all of Pioli's original guitar ideas had come together, and the electronics were birthed through Wandré Divoli, and a lot of these designs that he's known for still today were really birthed in those years, 62, 63. So, Antonio Wandré Pioli, he saw himself as a guitar sculptor. He wanted to really just create these interesting shapes, and a lot of his inspiration and aesthetic came from early 60s Italian motorcycles. And you can see some of that aesthetic on here. Interestingly, I see here on the pickguard, it looks like it's leather that's stitched into the guitar, you know? That's just a really cool design, and like a motorcycle seat, like stitched in on the leather. These shapes on the pickups, these star and diamond shapes look like gas cans or something like that. The dotted like volume, you know, this is just like a really cool, interesting design that's just very fun. It's not just, you know, it's volume and tone, but then you have the dotted pathway. And Cobra just sounds like a motorcycle. Sounds like a motorcycle, it probably is. Pioli was a sculptor of guitars. That's the way that he looked at himself. He drew inspiration that way. And these other big brands that were coming out with guitars at the time had an assembly line or a team of people kind of like creating them and designing them. But this is a boutique guitar builder or guitar sculptor in a very much maybe non-boutique era. Today we have many boutique brands, lots of one-offs and cool, interesting designs and stuff from many awesome guitar builders. At this time, Pioli was maybe ahead of his time a little bit in just creating this idea of a one-man guitar sculptor kind of aesthetic and really going after interesting designs. So yeah, the aluminum neck, let's talk about this. It feels awesome. This guitar feels very unique, unlike any guitar I've played. The aluminum neck, why? You gotta think that they're combating warping. The aluminum neck is not gonna warp. Also, it's a very thin neck. You'd think most wooden necks wouldn't be able to be sustainable this thin. Something else I realized while playing it is like, okay, if this hasn't warped at all and hasn't changed its shape, and this is from the early 60s, this is exactly how this guitar felt in 1962. which is like kind of a fascinating thing. You play an old, you know, an old Fender or something, and you understand that it has warped and it's bent and it's been set up and it's been adjusted, and it could have felt a little different through the years. This probably is exactly the way that it felt the year that it was built. No doubt that Wandré guitars influenced a whole bunch of guitar builders in the following years. The aluminum neck you can see on the Travis Bean guitars, on the EGC guitars. Eastwood has an adaptation of the Wandré guitars, but there's nothing like the real thing, that's for sure. And you can find the real thing on Reverb or here at Rock and Roll Vintage. I encourage you to check this stuff out. I don't see how you couldn't just fall in love with something like this. This is cool.